All right, thanks for joining us. We'll give another minute to see if any other folks join us. We'll do some quick introductions again. I do have some little bit of new information, but we will run through some of the same slides last week and then give you hopefully plenty of time to answer or to ask questions. So we'll go ahead and get started. I am Chris Smith. I am the principal. Thanks for taking the time to join us tonight. Dr. Brabrand does have his own question and answer session tonight at 6, so we'll end at 6 so that you can go to that as well if you like. Mr. Parker, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Parker. I'm one of the assistant principals here, and I work with everybody, but I do have a focus on grades 3 through 6 and our ESOL team.
And Mrs. Hine, want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks. Hi, good evening. I'm Lauren Hine. I'm the other assistant principal. I oversee pre-K through 2nd grade and special ed.
And I know Lacey, you've joined us again. Would you like to introduce yourself and do a little PTA plug?
Sure. Hi, I'm Lacey O'Donnell. I'm the PTA president, and we hope that you will join the PTA this year. We'll have a booth set up at our back to school night PTA picnic, and you can also join online on our website, but we hope to see you at many of our programs and events we plan this year.
Thank you, Lacey. And PTA is providing lunch for our teachers before the welcome walk on Thursday. They're a great partner, so I encourage you to join and volunteer. So we can go ahead and start. So again, some of these, if you were here last week, there are some new slides mixed in and some repeats. But again, if you're new and haven't joined us, to stay connected with us, our News You Choose email that we send out at least weekly. If you got today's email with the link for the meeting, then you're on that list. And if you're not on it, certainly email myself or Mr. Parker, because he's usually the one that sends stuff out. I updated it last Thursday, so I think we've pretty much captured all new parents. Of course, your classroom teacher, Wednesday is the big day. You'll find out at 4 o'clock who your teacher is for the school year, and they'll be a great resource for you. Facebook and Twitter are some other places that we also post things. Of course, our PTA has meetings and events, and both the school and PTA has our own websites. So just some ways, especially if you're new, of how to stay connected with us. Next, breakfast and lunch. So free breakfast and lunch for all students. Breakfast will be in classrooms. We'll have kiosks out in the hallway. Students can pick up a breakfast if they would like on their way to class. Lunch will be in the cafeteria, and there's no mask while students are eating and drinking, but once they're done, they will wear their mask. No salad bar as of now this year. We'll see if that changes. And I did have a little bit more information about lunches, because I know that was a few questions last week. So gave you some idea if you haven't seen it. So we have round tables. There are 10 seats per table. Each class has 3 tables. So like when 2nd grade comes in, imagine 5 rows of 3 tables, and each class gets a row of 3 tables. So a total of 30 seats. Right now, classes, the lowest class we have is 20. The highest class we have is at 26. So the lower the class number, they'll be able to have a little more spacing at their table. But at the very least, there'll be at least 1 empty seat, if not more, at a table. We are going to explore adding a 4th table for each class. If you jumped on a few minutes early, this is what I was talking to Lauren and Michael about. We have not seen each other basically since about 11:30 today, so as the first day of teachers back. So this is new to them. What we need to do is we physically need to set this up. So we'll make a decision on this on Friday, on Wednesday, because we have meetings in the cafeteria tomorrow morning. So we will take some time Wednesday to set up. We have enough tables to see how that spacing looks, just making sure students, when they get up to go get trash or they need to go back in the food line, that it's not too cluttered in there. I think we can do this. If we added a fourth table, again, we can increase the spacing at each table, right? You'd have 40 seats, if I'm doing my math correct, right? We have plenty of chairs. So you'd have about 40 seats for each class. And again, the highest class is 26 kids, right? So you'd be able to put 6 or 7 kids at a table as opposed to 8 or 9. Also wanted to show you a little bit, again, kind of what, and I forgot second grade there, that it's, lunches are staggered. So like all 5th grade classes will have the same lunchtime from 11:30 to 12. And then from 12 to 12:30, the kindergarten group comes in. So I just wanted to give you an idea there of what it looks like. I didn't want to get too much in the weeds with this. I'm happy to if you want. But the highlighted just means they would use the same table. So like 5th grade eats from 11:30 to 12. They clean up, they exit at 12, and then 6th grade comes in at 12:15, uses those same tables. So that's what the highlighted portions meant. And I forgot to add 2nd grade there, and they are at 5 classes as well in 2nd grade. Our PAC students eat in the classroom. Our other preschool students are half day, so they have a snack and in their classroom as well. And Lauren, do you know yet, has Enhanced Autism decided when they're eating lunch? We work with them kind of uniquely, and I know today was their first day. It's okay if we don't have a time, but do you know?
Yeah, I think we're looking at the 1:30 to 2 o'clock with 2nd grade.
Okay. And so again, they're small numbers. You're only talking, right, Lauren, each class like 7 or 8 kids, right? So they'll be able to space out in the cafeteria. All right, next, band and strings was a question last week. So I talked to our teachers today. They're there, Miss Van and Miss Meltzer. So the first few weeks of school, they're going to do recruitment through music class. So if you have a 4th through 6th grader and you're not sure if they joined at the end of last year, they'll have plenty of time this year to join. They will receive a form. They told me today that's going to be a physical form. So ask your student about that if they're in 4th through 6th grade. Instruction will start on the 13th for band and strings. And if you have questions, the best people to contact would be the strings teacher, who's Katie Van, or our band teacher, who is Dawn Meltzer. So hopefully that answers some of the questions we had last week about band and strings. Transportation, this is a repeat from last week, but even if you weren't able to complete that survey, bus will arrive for you if you're bus eligible. And bus route information was to be posted in the student information system, your parent view account, after August 10th. As a parent, I haven't checked to see if it's there yet. But again, if you need help with that parent view, certainly let us know. And if it gets to be Thursday or Friday and you're not sure about bus stuff, certainly just give us a call here. I know I was out Friday with my family. I don't recall yet seeing Lauren or Michael. We have not received bus route information yet. Okay, so, but hopefully by the end of the week, we definitely will have that, and you can call school if you have a question. So general reminders, remember patience, especially with the buses and kiss and ride the first couple of weeks as things get ironed out. Buses, make sure you're there at least 5 minutes early to the bus stop in the morning. They can come, if the bus is set to come at 8 o'clock, they can come as early as 7:55 or as late as 8:05. So make sure you give that 5-minute leeway. Kindergarten students must be met in the afternoon by an adult or older sibling, preferably at least middle school or higher. And expect afternoon bus runs to be delayed the first couple of weeks as they iron things out. Like I said, we're the last elementary were the last rotation of buses, and the middle school and high school get picked up and dropped off first. So as that gets sorted out, there's usually a delay on our end. And I want to go back. I thought I had something there, but maybe I mentioned it verbally last time. And then with Kiss and Ride, there were some questions. We'll certainly help you when you get here. The drop off tends to go pretty smoothly because it's pretty quick. You're just dropping your student off here at door 2, and there'll be plenty of adults outside to help. And then it's the afternoon that gets a little slow. And so again, just be patient, especially those first couple of weeks as we iron out all the details there. But if you want to use Kiss and Ride, when you come through, correct Mr. Parker in the morning, we will give you a number. And if you don't come the first couple days or something for some reason, maybe you've walked and it's rainy the third day and you decide to drive, just whenever it's your first time through the Kiss and Ride line, make sure you ask for Mr. Parker so he can get your number. Correct, Mr. Parker?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. All right. All right, the health and safety guidance, we went through this last week as well. And again, on the FCPS website is the health and safety guidance document. Lauren, could you look for that? It's on the FCPS web, and just post the link for parents in the chat.
Sure thing.
For me, thanks. And again, masks are the primary mitigation strategy. We are, putting some distance between students where we can, but masks will be the primary mitigation strategy. The updated close contact definition allows for that, where it was very strict. There's no mention of masks, last fall and spring when students return, but you see that there is in this version. So that should hopefully decrease the close contacts as we wear the masks. And then Schoology, again, this is going to be replacing Google Classroom on the student side. And then as part of Schoology is Zoom will be the web conferencing tool. And it does work with Google Drive, and teachers are going to get, they've had a little bit of training. They're going to get a bit more training tomorrow. But again, just urge your patience here as we work through a new learning management system at the beginning of the year. So I'm confident we'll get up to speed. We have a great tech person in Mr. Beasley. But again, this is going to be new. It's reliable. Remember, the problem with Blackboard was it was unreliable. Once we got permission to use Google Classroom and Google Meet, our knowledge of that was pretty good going into it. And this is just going to be brand new for all of us. So make sure you have that information and just be patient with us. I did want to add this back to school. We've been struggling with a name. We're going to call it Open House because that's basically the kind of the style or flavor of the hour. And so it's Wednesday, September 1st, 5:30 to 6:30. We wanted to be mindful of the number of events that we're asking parents to come to, especially in the same week. And we thought it would be good to partner with the PTA. And PTA was happy to have us take some time at the beginning of the evening there, and then they'll have our picnic here at 6:30 following the open house event. So it's again an open house style, a chance for you to visit the classroom, right? Because hopefully you'll meet, if you're around, you'll be able to meet the teacher on on Thursday for welcome walk. But another chance to meet the teacher, visit the classroom, right? See where your son or daughter is learning each day. It's a chance to meet other teachers and staff, our specials teachers, other support staff that your child could be working with. We encourage students to attend, right? Let them come into the class and show you a little bit of what a day is like for them. There's no formal presentations from the classroom teachers. They may send some information out. I know some teams are planning to create a video, and that's totally fine. And so you may see that from some teams. Again, no formal presentations and not a conference. Once we get that ironed out, we'll certainly set that up for later in the year. But that's what we're envisioning for our back to school, what we're calling now open house. And there's your information tonight, starting at 6 about Dr. Brabrand's town hall. And I believe that's it. So you can ask questions in the chat. Lauren, thank you. She put the link to the health and safety guidance document in the chat. So if you want to click on that and favorite it, maybe a document you want to come back to, you can raise hands or ask questions in the chat. Let's see, I think something just popped up in the chat. So going, okay, give me a second there, Heather. Yeah, so the way this works and that it is, if the masks are being worn, Heather, the close contact definition would be for anyone who was within 3 feet for longer than 15 minutes. But what has happened in the past when we've had cases is if you're determined to be a close contact, the health department reaches out and contacts those folks directly. On our school end, we send an email to the entire community, letting them know that there is a case, there's been a positive case. What we can say is that whether it's a staff member or a student, the individual class is not notified. The individual students who are considered a close contact are notified. Will there be a website where we can see the data? There is, and I will write Heather. I will need to dig that up. I know that in the spring there was a website for the county where you could dig in and see school by school. I'll need to find that for you. I don't have that handy. Did that answer your questions there, Heather? Okay, I think so. Okay. And what I'll do is I will put, once I find that site, we'll make sure we add that to the weekly email. So, and if I don't have it in there Friday, just because I haven't either, I'm just not sure if it's been established for this fall. I will look into it, but I know we had one in the spring where you could look school by school. All right, can I ride the bus with my daughter on the first day and walk home from Nando's Run? Adults not allowed to ride the bus. You're welcome to walk with her in the morning if you want, if that helps. But yeah, adults are not allowed to ride the bus. We're not sure. Sometimes the buses are packed 2 to 3 to a seat in a full bus. Sorry about that. And it does remind me, I think I said it last week, I should have made a slide. If you are a kindergarten parent, welcome to come in that first day into school and walk your child to class. And then starting day 2, we'll have you drop them off at either the bus stop or at Kiss and Ride or at the front door if they're walking, to get them into the routine for the rest of the year. Brenda, your hand's up.
Yeah. Okay, so I had a couple of questions regarding because the symptoms for allergies, for RSV, for COVID-19, asthma flares, some of them are very, very similar. And I know I have friends that are in Stafford County and they've kept their kid home because she had a stuffy nose. And their other daughter had a stuffy nose for a week, got tested for COVID, and it was negative. So I'm wondering, is there a decision tree that parents can use in order to help make those determinations? Because, I always like to err on the side of caution, but, having a runny nose is typical if you have allergies in the fall. And then as a follow-up to that, I had a question about, there was a case in Reno, Nevada, where a parent knowingly allowed their child to come to school when they were tested positive for COVID, and they exposed 80 people to COVID. And so I was just wondering if there were some mitigation strategies to make sure that there are consequences for that, because a lot of people, because of whatever situation they may have, they might send their kid to school even if they're not feeling well because they think or they get a diagnosis of COVID, but they can't stay with them, so they ship them off to school. So has that been discussed as what the consequences will be?
Yeah, I'm going to work backwards.
Okay.
Better information on your second one than your first one. So
Okay.
I don't know about consequences. I will tell you, and I haven't, I've had I had a cough over the summer, kind of leads into your first one, and went and got a COVID test. My son, same thing, had some pretty nasty cough symptoms. My point being this, but I have not tested or luckily, thankfully, I don't, in my family, no one's tested positive. So I haven't walked through all the way on the parent or child end. What I can tell you is we did have a case where the health department reached out to us and said someone has tested positive, and they told us they were not planning to contact the school. So we knew that ahead of time. So that communication is there.
Okay.
And so that prevent them from coming to school, right? Because what we did then was reach out, right? And say,
right.
We know there's a positive COVID case in the household and you can't come. So that communication is there. And hopefully that continues. In terms of, I'm not aware of any consequences. Certainly, again, we're just trying to urge. Again, I think you said it in that first question about erring on the side of caution. I will need to see if there is, there may be something on the website. There is a phrase that basically be proactive. Like if you're sure, your child has allergies, you can let the teacher know. I would recommend letting Mrs. Hine and Mr. Parker on that email as well, to say, we treat allergies and we know this is what it is, right? If it's something new that you're not, and again, this isn't great information, and that's part of the challenge we have, right? But if it's something new that you guys know your kids best, I would just err on the side of caution, right?
Okay.
Like when my son, he came home from a summer camp, and the next day he was supposed to work, and we were like, we don't think it's anything, but you got a cough and a runny nose, and if you're around people, right, they're going to probably look at you. And so
Yeah, they'll be a little
kept him home for a couple of days, eventually went and got a COVID test, and it came back negative, right? So again, there'll be some inconvenience, there are going to be some hiccups here.
Right.
There's going to be some inconvenience, but our goal is to keep students here for the next 180 days once they show up. I think Mr. Parker told our staff today it's 521 days since we were together as a staff, so it'll be 528 for our students. So our goal is to keep them safe, but we're going to have some cases. I mean, that's just a fact, right? We had it in the spring. We dealt with them, I think, pretty well. We didn't have any spread. We're going to do everything we can to instruct kids the right way and make sure that they're mentally healthy and physically safe.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Does that help? All right. So I will get
Yep.
at the end of the, not at the end of the day, but I will see there is some language in there, and I will tell you it's not super helpful though.
Okay. Thank you.
And I didn't see, let's see, is there anything else in the chat? So Amy, it all depends, and they didn't give us a number. It depends. That's certainly a possibility. If the health department tells us a class needs to be closed, that class would switch to virtual learning. So that is a possibility, but they did not give us a number of, X number of students. And this is where, again, a little bit of patience in terms of Schoology will be new. Of course, we're planning on hopefully, this isn't occurring the first week, right? But if it does occur, hopefully, if it's later, maybe in the flu, the traditional flu season when you see more sickness. Yeah, right. So, and that these are, I'm not going to say it, Mr. Parker. I had these same questions. We joke about people who say good question all the time. So We had these same questions with staff today. So I have not seen, I'm curious at Dr. Brabrand's session tonight, if that, I would hope that comes up. I don't know if there's an answer yet, but that has not been shared with us like we had over the winter with the case numbers and rates, right, of when school was going to move to virtual or in person. Kieran, go ahead. Hopefully I said your name right.
Yes, hi, actually, just under my husband's account. So I actually came to your back to school open house. It was really great. Thank you so much for having that. Great, some good information. The only concern I kind of have is during school lunch. I do realize it is going to be back in the cafeteria. Obviously, it's a bigger population of children mixing grades together, and the kids will obviously have their masks off to eat. So just kind of, I'm trying to understand. I, for some reason, thought it would be back in the classroom where they would have like lunches given to them in the classroom. So it's a more contained situation. So just want to hear your thoughts on that and how that's going to be handled.
Yeah, so one of the big things with lunch in the classroom is coverage. So teachers get a 30-minute, every staff member gets 30 minutes of uninterrupted lunch, right? So, you know, in the spring, we were able to get some additional staff and also move some staff around the building. Basically, we took them out of instructional areas and put them into covering lunch, right? So, you know, with 750 kids back, and I think there's a question too in the chat about lunch as well, about outside. We need to use the cafeteria. We don't have the capacity to stick an adult, to give adults 30 minutes of lunch and put another adult in that classroom to cover lunch. So we need to be in a larger space, which is the cafeteria. They, again, and we are, the other thing I forgot to put on lunch, it was asked last week, we are going to keep a seating chart at lunch. So we'll have a good idea of if there is a need for a close contact, which was something that changed this past week. The question about, you know, again, outside is it's not sustainable. It's going to rain, it's going to get cold. And again, we got to find staff to sit out there with our students. So what I'm focused on is finding a way to do it safely in the cafeteria. And I think if we add another table, again, the kids for the most part stay seated. So even though there might be multiple grade levels in there at a time, I'm going to go back to this chart here. You know, like for 5th grade, they're the only ones in there for 30 minutes, right? Certainly kindergarten, they come in at 12, so they'll have some overlap with 6th grade, but they're in you know, the other half of the cafeteria, right? There isn't a whole lot of interaction between between grade levels, you know, possibly unless they clean up, and then the kids are standing up, going to trash, things like that, but that's a pretty minimal time that they're interacting. So to me, it's about the space at the table, right? And if we can get more tables in there and give teachers more tables to use, right, we can then hopefully get down to maybe 6 or 7 kids at a table, maybe even less as we work through the space in there. Does that help, Kieran?
It does. I mean, I do understand the logistics of it. I get it. Yeah, it would be great to have a little bit more distancing between the kids if they have their masks off, and especially since lunches are free, it's gonna be a lot more kids in that line, and only 30 minutes to eat. So I get it. I get all the difficulties with this. I just feel like they're gonna have the masks on the whole day, and then at the end of the day, they're gonna be indoors and inside seating and have their mask off anyway. You know, kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. But I know
I don't disagree with that sentiment, and we're going to do the best we, you know, exhaust everything we can to make sure that they're safe at launch, right? Because that's certainly, I know.
And I also heard they may be having assigned seats. Is that correct?
We are going to keep a seating chart. Yep. So the teachers will work with them to assign seats. That way we can keep that seating chart. So in case there is a case, we can also identify any close contacts that were at lunch.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Looks like there's, let me go back here. So has Daniel's toy options, having kids outdoors. We talked about that. With the extra table, there'll be 6 feet between each kid. Again, can't guarantee there'll be 6 feet between each student, but we're able to space them out more. Right now, most of the seats they're measured today are running about 2.5 feet between some of the seats. So again, I think if we spread them out, it's not going to be the 6 foot distance, but it'll be more hopefully than what we currently have. For fresh air exchange, I got a lot of information, Amy, and I think she's on the call. We got information last week about filters being changed. I forget who asked that question last week. Let me see if they're in our chat or in our session here. I thought was it Mrs. Buckley? Was that you last week that asked about air quality? Okay. So the emails that we were exchanging and I was exchanging with county folks got pretty technical, but bottom line is my takeaway is we're in good shape. We have the filters get changed on a regular basis. Do you want to add anything from that exchange? All right, maybe she's typing. Okay. And Amy that asked the question, is there something more specific you're looking for? I'm going to go down to the next question. We'll come back to that one. Contact tracers know whether kids are playing within 3 feet of each other during recess. The contact tracing right now is inside. So inside, we're not going to be able to do contact tracing outside. So also will the cafeteria have circles on the floor to help kids stay 6 feet apart while in line? Well, masks are going to be on while we're in line. So again, we're not going to have stickers down on the floor, but we do have adults in there. We're going to work with the kids to make sure that they're keeping, 3 feet apart. Again, it's not that shoulder to shoulder, but it's about a foot or so apart from each other. And their mask will be on, not as they enter the cafeteria. Sorry, masks will not be off as they enter the cafeteria. Mask will be off once they sit down and start to eat. Yep, I don't disagree, but again, I think they're not going to be exposed. My opinion is they're not going to be exposed to 200 kids, right? Just because they're all in there together, they're not within 3 to 6 feet of every student, right? I think it's going to be the exposure is going to be to the students, certainly next to them, to their right or left, and even possibly another seat or two to their right or left. But the exposure isn't with every student in the grade level. When is going to be open for? So we have the doors, the outside door, and I thought about this can be open. I will tell you that one of the concerns is anytime you leave a door open, it is a huge security issue, right? In terms of people coming into the building. So I've thought about this one. I don't have I would want somebody basically standing at that door, right? If we're going to have it open. So we can do that. We usually leave the doors open that are inside that go out to our hallway, but the outdoor one would be much better. So again, that's something we can explore. We just need to figure out how we can make sure that that we're not compromising safety in terms of people coming into our building. And again, we're not able to move to a classroom lunch because of coverage. We don't have people to cover, talking about 32 classrooms right now, as opposed to a lunchroom. Is there an ERV or fresh air injections into the system? So I'm going to go back. Okay, so Ms. Buckley, can you help? The question is, there an ERV or fresh air injections into the system? And if not, Amy will get an answer for you. We will not be doing temperature checks. Parents are encouraged to do, their own check each morning. And Amy, I can give you the report as well. All right, sorry, I'm scrolling down the chat, so I'm seeing. And yeah, the lunch, again, the specials, teachers we get an hour of planning. They get an hour of planning each day with a 30-minute lunch. So again, we just don't have the manpower to have lunches in the classrooms. It's possible to have half the grades eat in their classroom. And again, it's a coverage standpoint. I understand the concern. We can certainly go back and explore it, but we really don't have the coverage to eat in classrooms. If there were any spaces in school, yeah, okay. All right. So Amy, I'll send the air report, and again, I'll include that in our News You Choose, because that's an easy link to find. And then Amy, if there's something more specific that Mrs. Buckley's not answering there, let me know. We'll get the answer for you. Brenda, I physically see your hand. Go ahead.
So I had a question about empowering staff to try to remind students to pull their masks up over their noses. And I know that it can be a little bit tricky for kids to say, hey, you're not wearing your mask properly. And, is that something that the teachers will proactively say, hey, I noticed your mask is not, remember, we have to pull it up over our nose. Because I want to try to make it so that kids don't have to advocate for themselves when the adults are in the room. They should be able to say, or even their own masks, because I've seen plenty of adults who are supposed to be leaders and they're talking with their mask under and it's like, So is that something that that the teachers will be empowered because they know FCPS will back them and will call out as many cases as possible so that the kids don't have to feel uncomfortable in the classroom with somebody with a not properly worn mask?
Yeah, yes. Our issue in the spring, the kids did a great job with the masks, right? It was, when we had our safety inspectors go through, it was usually, there's 3 adults sitting in your faculty lounge, not eating within 6 feet of each other without masks, right? So, certainly, and acknowledge we're doubling the amount of students that are coming back, right? So, I think I suspect, right, the students are going to do an excellent job. We've certainly told the teachers that. We can certainly re-emphasize that, right? We have a meeting Friday morning to kind of go through nuts and bolts. So I'll personally remind them, right, to make sure. And I think one, like you said, set the example, right?
Right.
Remind them. And we got complimented many times when a kid was going out to the bus, for instance, and it might be below, one of us would say, hey, just remember to pull up your mask. They do it.
Oh, that's great.
What the safety inspectors were looking for wasn't 100% compliance necessarily, but if somebody wasn't compliant, was there an adult there to say, hey, make sure you put it on or make sure you pull it up, things like that.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's
safety
very
inspections
helpful.
are occurring again. The only information I have is that we've evidently contracted with an outside company to come do them. So I don't know what they'll look like, but I'll make sure we emphasize to the staff. I know I've seen staff firsthand do that. And again, we have more students and we've got staff that wasn't in our building, right? So we'll make sure everyone's on that. So, and I think like any concern, certainly the kid can, go to an adult and say, can you help me with this, right? If they're comfortable enough, right? They can certainly address it. But yeah, it's super important. It is our main mitigation strategy, right? That and washing hands and making sure everything's clean and healthy.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Sorry, I lost track of the chat. Let me go back there to see if anything was over there. I think we caught up in the chat. We got about 20 minutes left. Any other questions? No, kids are not temperature checked here in the morning. So again, the guidance is for you as a parent to, check your kid each morning, right? Making sure they're healthy, and if they have one of those symptoms, and it's a new symptom, right? It's again something that certainly with a fever, that would be a big indicator. If it's a new cough or new sore throat, something that they're not traditionally experiencing due to allergies, that you keep them home. Yeah, no problem. Happy to answer it twice. Yep, go ahead.
Hi, yes. I wanted to know, are you guys requiring the students and to bring more than one mask? I have a small child, first grader. Their mask, if it's cloth, could, I don't know, maybe they spit or they sneeze or something, it gets wet. And I'm sure that could happen for another child as well. Are you guys requiring that they bring more than one mask to school?
Yeah, we're not requiring it. I would, if you can put extra masks in their bag, I think that would be a great idea. We have a large number of masks for both students and adult sizes. So like the older kids would fall more into the adult size.
Okay.
So we'll have plenty of disposable ones here, and
Sure.
we'll order more. I think we're going to see more of that, right? Because kids are going to be taking them off at lunch and at recess. So we'll make sure they have one. But yeah, if you can add extras to their bag and just let the teacher know that there should be extras, that would be good.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think there's another lunch question, right? Parents were allowed to come in to have lunch with their child. And we're still good with it. What I would say this year is I would have you find a different spot instead of sitting at the table with all the other students, for you to find a spot within school to have lunch with your student. If that's something you want to do, I would, I would like to, I want to be welcoming, and I also don't want to add to our risk of any infections and things like that, right? So if you really want to come in and eat with them, especially on a special day like a birthday, I totally understand that. And we would just need you to take them out of the cafeteria and eat, one of our common areas or outside if it's a good day. You can come. You don't need to. You just come. You have to come to the main office and check in like you normally do, but it doesn't necessarily need to be ahead of time. Will kids have assigned seating on the bus? So the latest I heard is there is not assigned seat other than the kindergarten students will be up towards the front of the bus, and it'll be 2 and sometimes 3 to a seat on the bus, and they're wearing masks. But yes, they're going to be sharing seats on the bus. Again, if you're someone who has access to a bus, you decide to use Kiss and Ride, that's certainly totally fine. And just know that, the more people that use Kiss and Ride, we just need more and more patients to get busier there in the afternoon. And I put up the slide again today about Dr. Braybrand's town hall, if you want to jump over to that when we're done. While I'm waiting on some questions, I would tell you, in my humble personal opinion, I think we had a great first day with teachers. Teachers were back on contract Friday. Today was the first day that we were together. We had our opening staff meeting, and Mrs. Hine and Mr. Parker did a great job presenting some good opening information. It was a great start, a lot of energy. So we're getting ready to gear up for Welcome Walk on Thursday.
Hi, this is Kieran again.
Yeah.
Just quick question. So my son's he was virtual all last year.
Mhm.
So he's in first grade coming in. I know you said kindergartners, the parents can kind of walk them to the class. Would you mind if first grade parents did the same thing?
Yeah, it's much. The answer is yes. That's fine.
Thank you.
Things last week when we were talking about the seating charts at lunch, as I was saying it, I'm like, I know that's the answer, but it doesn't seem right. And we reconsidered, and then actually the guidance changed. And so I had the same thought today as that came out of my mouth. I'm actually going to say, I think the hesitation here is just parking. We got a school across the street that's going to be in session, right? But I'm actually going to say it's okay for anybody. I think in this circumstance, if you feel better walking your kid to class, we'll allow it the first day. Particularly, right, you didn't have that chance as a kindergarten parent last year. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, so I'll hang around till 6. Looks like it's about to rain and storm again. And happy to take questions. I'm going to tell Mr. Parker and Mrs. Hine they are free to go. And if you want to hang on, I'll take your questions. If not, you can log off. Yeah, so Allison, we have not a silly question. We have lots of adults in the hallway. Allison, what grade is your child or children in? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so especially with the kindergartners, we got lots of folks that'll be in the hallways and be outside. So we'll make sure they get to the right classroom. And they visited that classroom last week. So we'll definitely help them. And it's amazing. Give it a couple days and the kindergartners build the routine. And after a couple months, they walking around like they're been here for years. Mrs. Hine, you're free to go. We're winding down. Enjoy your night. I think
Okay,
Mr.
thanks.
Parker
Bye,
has
everyone.
departed.
Have a good night.
Yep. Thank you for your help. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, you can actually use either door 1 or door 2. You can answer either one of those. Yep, of course, Allison. We look forward to next Monday.